Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our presentation titled Budget-Friendly Travel. This is part of our Money Matters series here at the Champaign Public Library. I'm Eva Liu, a reference librarian here. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I would like to introduce our presenter for the evening, Mark Wolters. He is a award-winning travel vlogger and educator. With a keen eye for honest travel advice, Mark has producing travel videos and blogs for over 17 years. His Water World travel YouTube channel has over 1.16 million subscribers, and she also produced 2,900 videos. We are honored to have him present at the library again, and please help me welcome Mark. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Eve. Good to be here. Thank you, everybody. Nice to be back. Hopefully the people can see. There we go. So budget travel advice. I will say over the years, this has been one of the biggest hiccups that people have with traveling because everybody wants to travel, but not everybody has a ton of money to travel. So knowing the ways you can save some money when you go can make a big difference between having that dream vacation and staying home for the year. So what I want to do in the talk today is I want to talk about some of the kind of main, there's my little thing for me, the main kind of money hiccups that people have when it comes to travel, whether it's getting your money abroad, whether it's where you kind of stay, where you don't. I mean, sometimes we love to have the 5-star hotel, but if I'm going to be in Paris, am I really going to be in the hotel long enough to enjoy it? No, I'm going to be out all day. So we're going to talk about some really honest advice to help you save some money when you travel so you can stay longer, because changing your hotel, saving you $100 a night means you stay for a week. Heck, you could stay for a couple more days, right? So we're going to talk about some of those things, accommodation, food, and just some general travel advice when it comes to, budget busters and things like that. So if you've seen any of our videos on budget travel, some of this might seem familiar to you, so I do apologize for that. But these are actually tried and true tips that I actually use when I travel. And so I want to start with talking about money. Now, when you go abroad, how many of you have gone abroad? Is anybody? Yes. And don't you love the Monopoly money? It's so colorful, it's so nice. But sometimes I think one of the big things you need to realize, wherever you're going to go, know the currency before you go. Because sometimes you'll have the old switcheroo. Like one of the big things, you're going to Prague, they'll throw in some forints from Hungary, which is worth like 1/10 of the currency. And you're like, oh, that seems like decent. It looks funny. It looks like funny Monopoly money, but it tricks you. Okay, but now most of the time when you travel around, people don't actually use cash anymore. It's all with credit. And that's one of the big things is like when you're going to travel abroad, you have to realize, does your credit card that you use have an international transaction fee? Do not. If it does, I mean, we're talking like 3% added on to your bill, everything. So that credit card charge gets charged back to you. So you got to be careful with that. That's why you want to kind of search and see who has no international transaction fees. Because saving that 3%, well, every $100 is another $3. So you have those issues. Oh, let's get started. All right. Sorry. There we go. Okay, another thing I think is important. This is one thing where I see people not realizing the money they spend is realizing what are things actually worth. Like, is 50,000 pesos a lot of money or a little money? Well, which peso are we talking about? The Mexican peso? Yeah, it's a lot of money. Dominican Republic? Not so much. Like if you go to some countries in Vietnam, you're paying like, hey, I'm tipping you $1 million, right? It's like $1 million, like just above. I'm tipping $1 million or something. Sounds fantastic, but you know what? Not that much. And so it's a good idea before you go. What I always recommend is some travel apps you might want to have, currency exchange apps on there. So when you're going to multiple countries, what is the actual price? Because if you're watching like my videos, you might be watching a video from a couple of years ago that talks about the price. But the thing is, how the exchange rate has changed over time can change. Like, for example, Japan, when I was there a few years ago, Japan was super expensive. Now, you'll notice it shows up a lot in travel bloggers on YouTube, on Instagram, because yen is so weak that it's cheap. Any of us can go there. It's cheaper than going to Alabama, the Gulf Shores kind of stuff, right? So you want to kind of think about these things. And when you're going abroad and you're worried about getting your money, one thing I see a lot of tourists do is like, hey, I want to get money before I go. So I'm going to get my euros from BUC or another bank before I go. You don't need to do that. Your best way to get your cash out when you go abroad to save you money is use your BUC debit card at a local bank when you go abroad. Okay? Why? Well, credit cards charge you huge fees, for one. Two, if there's any issues, you can go and talk to Busey, and be like, hey, I need to get cash this way. And the exchange houses, you don't know if it has a good exchange rate, they might have huge fees. Or if they have no fees, they might give you a bad exchange rate. This way, if you go to the bank ATM and take your money out there, you're controlling the situation. Okay, and whenever you do that, you'll notice no matter if you go to Colombia, if you go to, Cuba, if you go, but if you go to like France, or you go to Australia, Beijing, wherever, they'll offer you the conversion. Never, ever, ever take the conversion because it seems so nice. It's like, we'll just charge you in dollars, and then you know what you're going to be charged. I have seen where the conversion rates literally give you a 20% loss. 20%, not 2%, not 2, but literally 20%. So anytime you travel and they offer you to pay in dollars, you say, no, I want to pay in the local currency. Because then Busey, your bank back here, they're the ones that handles the conversion. And then you can be upset with Busey. You can go into the store and be like, hey, bank manager, what's going on? And they're not going to try to screw you over because you're one of their clients. Whereas that bank in the Czech Republic, that bank in Thailand, they don't care about you. So they're trying to make as much money as they can. And one thing you need to be aware of, it's not just ATMs. When you go to restaurants, you go to stores that sell a lot of stuff to tourists, like souvenir shops, you'll see when you put your card in, it'll show US dollar and euro, or US dollar and yen. And sometimes the employees there just automatically push the US dollar. And they might not even know that they're nailing you for an extra 10% on that price of that product. So that's why you always want to make sure you never, it's called the conversion. You never ever want to take that. Okay, so be aware of that because all of a sudden there's 10% of your money gone just because you exchanged it. Now, I will say countries like Sweden, Norway, heck, this summer we drove from Poland to Albania. And I did not have to take out cash hardly at all, except if I was in the rural areas in old school Eastern Europe, because everybody took card everywhere. And if you're in Stockholm, they're literally like, we don't want your cash. You go to London, it's almost impossible to pay with money. Everything has to be by card. So that's why it's important to know the kind of cards you're going to be using when you're going to go there. Okay. Now, if you do want to get cash, because sometimes you do need cash, like if you fly into Rwanda, move to Rwanda, you're going to need some cash. Germany, you're going to need some cash because some of the shops still cash only. Restaurants, nothing like finding out your restaurant is cash only once you've already ordered. Okay. We were down. Yeah, anybody went to the Bahamas? Not yet. Bahamas, they're not cheap, are they? Like, oh my goodness. Now, when you go to the Bahamas, they have these fish fry places, which is like basically you're going to like a little hut on the side of the road and you're going to eat there. And they'll all have that Visa, MasterCard, American Express logo. But do you think that means the card machine's working that day? No. And for example, we were there in November and it was my birthday. I was like, oh, let's just go out to eat. We had just a couple of drinks, something to eat, and it was like $150. I'm like, wow. Luckily, I brought $200 in cash with me. Because they're like, oh, yeah, no, our card machine's not working, cash only. I'm like, you could have told me that beforehand. Because I will tell you, most places will not tell you it's cash only. So you might want to ask, like, hey, is this cash only or not in certain situations? Okay. But most of the time, especially in Europe, card is preferred. Okay. So do be aware of that. But if you are going to exchange money, never exchange at the airport because you will literally get the worst rate ever. Okay. So it's better to, and the thing is, you get money at the airport, but just use that debit card from back home. Okay. So for money kind of things. Now, great. Let's come on. There we go. Sorry. We have to have some fun times with this. Move up. There we go. Other thing. Well, I talked about the bank ATM ones. Also, another thing you need to realize, not all cards are accepted. Now, I love my Delta co-branded American Express card because everywhere I go, I get points to go fly again with Delta. The problem is, it's pretty much 90% of the world outside the US isn't really taking Amex. So you want to make sure, especially if you're going to be going in, I would say like Latin America, the Caribbean, it depends. Like Bahamas, because so many American tourists go there, Amex is okay. But if you're thinking about going, oh, we're going to go to Costa Rica, we're going to go to Brazil, Visa, MasterCard is what you need. And they're all around the world. Those are by far the two you want to have because you don't want to be someone like, I have a card, but it's worthless because it's Amex. So that's one thing that's kind of important. And also, if you are booking with places like Expedia or Booking.com, you can book your room with an American Express. But the thing is, in a lot of those situations, you then pay at the end of your stay there because you're just guaranteeing the booking with your credit card. But that hotel might not take Amex. So it's important that you have a second card. If you have an Amex, you have something else. Because I travel so much, I have the Delta American Express and the United Visa card. So I'm going to get my points one way or the other. I'm getting my miles, all right? But it's one of those things you want to be prepared for. Okay. Now, and both of them, no international transaction fees. So there is that. Now, another thing I think is important. How many of you love when the ATM takes your card? No one likes that, right? No, of course not. It's happened to me. I travel all the time. I let my bank know beforehand, and it still happened. To make it less likely it's going to happen, before you go, you want to call up your Busey, you want to call up your First Bankers Trust, Fisher National Bank, wherever you're going, call them either the number on the back or call the bank itself. Say, hey, can I talk to a customer rep? I'm going to be traveling. Let them know. Now, some banks, they literally, you go on their website, like Busey, you can go on there and say, hey, I'm going to be traveling. And you can do that. Other things like My American Express, it's like, hey, we know you travel enough, so it doesn't matter where I go. I don't have to do anything. But if I'm going to use my United, if I'm going to be going someplace like Rwanda or Russia or Ukraine, like places that have a lot of scamming, like I went to Nigeria, they're going to be like, hey, we want to know that you're going there to make sure it's okay. All right. So you want to let them know beforehand, because you don't want to be trying to pay for that bill and all of a sudden rejected. And of course, what's the customer service hours? 9 to 5 Eastern Standard Time. Not going to help you when you're there, because you're going to be somehow it's like 5:05 p.m. in New York time. You're like, dang it, I'm out of luck. Right. So be careful with that. Now, if we move from like the money side of things, we start thinking about transportation, like how you get around is going to be an expensive endeavor, but it doesn't have to be. Now, I know, one of the things, your biggest one-off, and this is what scares a lot of people, is they think, oh, my biggest one-off purchase is my plane ticket. So I'm not going to go to Europe because it's $1,000. I'm not going to Southeast Asia because it's $1,000. Look, you can get a $400 ticket to Orlando, and that's going to be a lot more expensive than going to Europe. How many of you gone to Disney World lately? That, $1,000, $2,000 for a family of 4 to go for a day or two, right? Like, oh, but the thing is, you don't notice it because, I bought a $200 ticket for Disney and I got a $400 ticket here, but things add up. And a lot of people just get scared off by the price of tickets. I will tell you, one of the reasons why we travel to Europe so much is because once we get there, that 75 euro, which is like $85 hotel room, is the equivalent of a $200 Hampton Inn hotel here. Nothing special, but it's fine, but it's half the price. You travel for 2 weeks, that adds up over time. Okay. But one of the things I want to tell you is when you start looking for your flights, use the consolidators like kayak.com or Skyscanner. What they do is they look at all the airlines. We're talking from the high-end, like fancy airlines to the cheaper airlines. The airlines, I've never heard of Ava Air. Yeah, they're okay. But what's nice is it gives you the price option. And they'll go and find the cheaper prices. And so you can see what airline you want to be with. Because here's the thing. Unfortunately, the airlines these days, they don't care much about loyalty. They care about how much you put on your credit card. Because that's where people get their points. So for you, it's better for you to find that cheapest flight. Fly to American to London, and then fly Lufthansa to Germany, and then fly, a different airline, Air China to go to Beijing. Or Aeromexico. I'm doing Aeromexico to Mexico City from Chicago. Significantly cheaper than flying Delta or United or someone else. But the thing is, you look on these airlines and they're going to give you an idea. But here's the thing, you find the cheap flights on these, but then you go to the airline's website specifically and buy from them. Why? One of the big reasons is they'll usually match those cheap prices you'll find, and you're buying directly from them. Because you buy from Expedia and you need to make changes, you can't talk to Delta. You got to go talk to Expedia. You have a problem with your hotel booking, you got to go through bookings.com. If you book direct, when you book direct, then the airline has your stuff. Your hotel has your information, and they can deal with you directly. I went up to the Hyatt up in Chicago. I had a conference there. Oddly, it was one of the times there was a blizzard in North Carolina. So the speakers could not make it up to Chicago. So I literally check into the hotel, and then I get a text. The conference has been canceled. It's a training. The training's been canceled because they can't get in. And I'm like, well, I booked the hotel for 4 nights. Yeah, I'm like, okay, I'll be here tonight, but can I get my money back? And they literally said, the Hyatt said, did you book with us? I said, yes, I booked with them, and then we can help. Because you book with Expedia, you book with those other third-party things, we cannot help you. You have to go through them. And by the time that happens, you'll probably stay here 2 nights. And therefore, we will not give you it's not us giving the refund, it's them, and that's their issue. Whereas since I booked directly with them, no joke, within 5 minutes, they had my other 3 nights canceled. And I'm like, hey, there's no more trains back to Champaign from Chicago at 10 o'clock at night. You take that last train up. And they're like, hey, I'm like, for 1 night, and they had it all set up because they're the one controlling the money. So that's one of the things, you might not think it's cheaper or more expensive, but if you think longer term, if there are issues, it makes it easier. Also, how many of you like to get bumped off of a plane? Anybody? Oh, yes, the lady in the back likes to get bumped off the plane. Yeah. No, none of us like that. The thing is, if you buy direct from them, you're less likely to get bumped. Because they're gonna go with the third party people, the people that aren't members. That's one thing I always recommend. It might not save you money, but it can save you a lot of headaches. Whatever airline, it doesn't matter if you're only gonna fly them once in your life. You're going to Canada, you're gonna fly WestJet. You're just doing that one flight. We're flying Chicago to Banff. We're going to go to Banff up by Calgary. There's a flight that does that. Only reason, probably the only time you'll ever fly WestJet. But you got sign up for their miles, you sign up to their program, you're in our system. And you're my friend now. And I'm gonna make sure my friend is taken care of. That lady that didn't sign up, your friend's not going with you. These kind of things, and that's one of the things you have to think about when you think about budget travel. It's not just, ooh, let's find the hack and get the cheapest fare. There's other things you got to kind of think about. Okay. Now, another thing I want you to tell is sometimes we were taught back in the day that, oh, last minute fares are the best. How many of you ever seen like a Priceline commercial? Oh, get these great deals for hotels. Get these great deals. Yes, you can. They do exist, but they're harder to come by now. Especially on airlines, you have a lot of they're called non-rev travelers. The people that work for the airline, the reason I work for the airline is so they can fly for free. You're almost competing with them sometimes. And so it's like, So that's why sometimes it's best to, you know what, I want to guarantee that I'm going to get there. And the guarantee I can get there, I know I'm going to get there, because how much is your time worth? Because maybe we'll get there and we'll get to spend 2 weeks in Europe. Or maybe I'll have to wait for a last minute ticket and that 2 weeks turns into 7 days. I wasted 7 days of trying to get there. How much is that worth to you? So you want to kind of think about these different things out there. And so, but one of the things that's nice is if once you have your tickets, one of the few good things that happened with COVID is that airlines now let you return your tickets and you get credit back. So if you fly with the airline quite often, let's say you bought the tickets for $1,200, but then you see the tickets are now $800. You can cancel your other tickets. You get the $1,200 of credit. You buy the $800 tickets, and guess what? You now have $400 of credit to go do another trip. But again, that's if you're going with the same airline. It's great. You don't get the money back, but at least you have the guarantee of the seat of those things. All right. Now, budget airlines, the Spirits, the Allegiants, they're fine. You can fly from Allegiant to Bloomington, no problem. You want to go to Florida? Great. We'll take Frontier out to Colorado. Awesome. But one thing I want to warn you, the cheap airlines are not always cheap when you factor everything in. Because if you fly Allegiant, hey, has anybody ever flown Allegiant from Bloomington? They check your backpack, don't they? They're like, wait, let's see what this guy, they're looking at her purse. I don't know, is that a carry-on, ma'am? Or is that your backpack? And all of a sudden, hey, you got to pay $50 for to put a backpack up top. Both ways. That's $100. That $100 ticket is now a $200 ticket. And you get less legroom. So it's a $200 ticket, which I thought was going to be $100. Ooh. I could have bought the United flight that goes to Chicago to Colorado for $250, and I get a check bag. It is $50 more, but I'm getting more out of it. And one thing you'll see is a lot of times when people go to Europe or Southeast Asia, they'll see these low-cost airlines, right? And they'll make these great deals. Fly to London from Rome for €3, which is like $5. Sounds great. But then there's the extra fees to get on there and all the some of them will charge you, oh, you want a boarding pass? You got to pay for that. You want to print your boarding pass at the airport? $20. Yep. Oh, your bag's too big. You can if you booked it beforehand, it'd only been $50. Now, since you have to do it at the gate, it's $75. All of a sudden, those cheap airlines aren't so cheap. And one of the biggest added costs of the cheap airlines is you look at when they fly. Because if you got to think about it, if you're flying into London and you take the cheap airlines, you don't get to Heathrow or Gatwick, which is on the tube line, the subway line, where it's £5, so like $6 to go into town. No. You're in Stansted, which is like, oh, let's see. There's trains that go during the day, but most of those cheap airlines get in at 1 o'clock in the morning. Trains aren't running. So you're taking a bus, or you're paying, I don't know, $200 for a taxi. $200 for a taxi for a $50 flight isn't cheaper than flying directly into the city. That's why it's important when you're looking, like, hey, Spirit is great, Allegiant's great, you can fly with it, no problem. But it's always a good idea to look at those legacy carriers, like the Deltas, the Americans, because sometimes it's a better deal. Like, for example, I used to live in Lithuania, and I would fly to see my friends in London. Thing was, if I flew Ryanair, it was $50 round trip if I took nothing with me. But we got in at 1 o'clock in the morning and we left Sunday morning. Now, if anybody's been to London, they do all of the subway work Sunday morning. So none of that stuff works. You can't actually get out there. And you may say, well, you can take the bus. Yes, but I got to take a taxi from where I am in London to where the bus is, 50 pounds. So that's $70, $75 that way to take the cheap $10 bus to get out. Now it's 85. Or if I go direct, 125 pounds, so like $200. So you want to kind of factor in all the stuff because some part of budget travel is realizing not every budget thing, just because it says budget doesn't mean it's helpful. Here's another thing. If you're going to go on a trip, let's say you're going to fly, to Orlando, and we want to go to Orlando, and then we want to go to Miami and come home. Now, most of the time, you'll buy a round trip ticket from from Orlando. One, in the MCO, the Orlando airport is living hell. Okay, if you do not want to go there, it is not a fun place to be because there's so many people that go through there, especially during the holidays. If you're going to the holidays, please call me because we're going to say a prayer for you because the line's getting set. But the thing is, you can do what are called those multi-city tickets. And back in the day, we are all more mature travelers, are we not? So back in the day, if you would do this, you'd pay a lot more money for it. Now, a lot of times, you could a lot of times what we'll do is we'll fly into Paris, and then we'll do our trip, and we end our trip in Rome, and then we fly out of Rome. So instead of having to travel back, getting back to Paris, we have to waste a day or two. And for that Orlando and Miami, hey, I can fly to Orlando, enjoy the stuff in Orlando, go to Epic Universe and Disney, and now there's a train that goes down to Miami. I can do that, and then I just fly back from Miami to here. And yeah, maybe it costs an extra $20, but how much is driving 6 hours from Miami to Orlando worth? I would pay $100 not to go through MCO, the Orlando airport. So that's another thing. Because also your budget, think about your time. That's one of the things you got to think about, okay? Because if you think about being flexible on the day and time you leave, that can save you a lot of money. So for years, we do Thanksgiving trips. We'll go and go see places. And I've always seen if I fly on Thanksgiving Day, it's significantly cheaper than the day before Thanksgiving or the day after. We're talking we're not talking like to Europe. I'm literally talking like we're going to Tampa to see my sister-in-law. $200 less going on Thanksgiving Day. When you're coming back, that Sunday after Thanksgiving, ouch. That Saturday afternoon. But you fly on that Monday, if you've got the freedom to do it, fly back on the Monday, literally from Europe, other places, we're talking $400 to $500 less for just an economy ticket. And that's why it's important if I can be flexible. That's why if you have work that says, hey, you need to put in for at least 6 months in advance for your PTO, you can start looking for those flights because they're going to kind of give you a rough idea when it's going to be a good time to fly. And then you can say, I can see I need to come back on that Monday. I can ask for PTO. We got the Monday off. Awesome. So then we schedule to come back on that Monday. I need to work on Tuesday. Right. So you want to kind of think about these things. Also, when you are booking your tickets, it's not a money saver, it's a brain saver, it's a harassment saver, is this. If you take that 6 a.m. flight to Atlanta from Bloomington or the 6 a.m. flight to Chicago from here in Champaign, guess what? You are less likely to miss your flights because they're already sitting there. So you know they're going to fly out. So you're going to get to Chicago and you're going to get to Atlanta. So you're going to get on your way. Later, as the day goes on, the backups come up. The delays start adding up. The cancellations start adding up. That's why if you're not sure, take that early morning flight because if you can't get to your destination and it's the day you're due, they're not going to give you your money back for that hotel room because it's always at least 24 hours before. Okay. Now, other things that can help you out with your budget travel when you're traveling. Now, I know not all clubs use the MTD, but as a U of I student from back in the day, I use the MTD all the time. The 22 from my fraternity, the class, the 22 for the union, or I don't even remember the number anymore, going out to the mall back in the day, right? It was great. I didn't have to have a car. It was free as a student. When you travel around, public transportation is a lifesaver with money. And when you take it, when you go to Europe, other places, Asia, it is a normal way to get around. It's a normal thing. So it's not like a tourist thing. Like, we're taking the bus. Just a normal thing. And you can save so much money on it because a lot of people feel we need to rent a car to support. No. The trains, the buses, they'll get you a lot of places you want to go from South America. Sometimes in South America, you ride on, or in Central America, you ride on what's called a chicken bus. You may know it as the Yellow School Bus that you grew up on. Literally, the Yellow School Bus used to take, might be in Nicaragua right now, driving from different cities. And they call it the chicken bus. And literally, sometimes there's chickens on there because it's kind of like double up with storage and transportation and a people carrier, right? but the public transportation can help out a lot. The one thing I recommend, if you want to look like a local, if you're going to stay someplace for like a week, get the week pass. If you're not sure you're going to use the public transportation that much, how much is it worth to you not to have to go up to that kiosk and figure out how, one, to switch it from French to English or Chinese to English? I don't know, right? This way I have the week pass. I just walk up, ding, go right in. Not only is it less harassing and less frustration, you also look like you're supposed to be there. Because tourists go and buy every single ticket. Someone that lives there, they're the ones that's beeping and they have the pass. So who am I going to rob? The tourist that's trying to figure out the kiosk, or the person that might look like a tourist but just walk through with a season pass? You're a little more safe that way too. Okay. Now, other things I think is important. You want to know the timetables for the public transportation to the airport, because sometimes you can just take the train out. You can take the bus out for $5. Like I was talking with London, one of the right things. But other times you might have a huge taxi thing, and that's why it's important to kind of factor in. So in the back, I've got my son is standing up there, my dad's in the middle, my mom's back there, my wife's back there. If all 5 of us are going, well, okay, so it's 5, and it's €5, but it's 25 euros. We got luggage. Do I want to take the train, or do I get the taxi that's 40? Just not have to deal with the extra. Sometimes it's worth it, okay, when you're looking at your budget. That's why it's sometimes, hey, your first day and last day transportation, your first day and last day of your trip hotels, have those booked so you don't have to worry about it. Because you don't want to have to think like, how are we going to get from the train station to the hotel or the hotel to the airport or whatever. Have those things booked. The rest of your trip can be taken care of when you're there. Okay, but you want to have those kind of last and first things, because then you can schedule a taxi if you can have it all ready and you'll know what the prices are. Okay, now I talked about the legacy carriers of transportation, so we're good there for that. We've talked about the frequent flyer program signups. They don't kick you off the plane. But one of the things with those points, you ever heard they have point inflation? Point inflation. Back in the day, back when we were traveling all the time, you still have hair, so I'm jealous. Back when I had hair, for 50,000 miles, you could fly to Europe. Now, for 50,000 miles, I can fly maybe to Chicago. I'm not even joking, right? So with that, you're like, well, how best to use my points? Like everyone collects all those points. You need to use them because they become worth less. They're not worthless, but they become worth less every single year. They kind of get downgraded. And sometimes you're like, well, Mark, I've already got my ticket booked. Use it to get the upgrade because you deserve it. You deserve it, my friend. A little extra legroom goes a long way, right? And so that's like my wife in the back. She'll tell you, what do you use your points on? Upgrades. And it doesn't mean you go to first class, but hey, going from like normal economy to, I can breathe economy, like economy plus, can make a difference. And a good use of your points. Okay. Also, holiday gift giving, which is funny. When it comes around the holiday times, you got extra miles. You're like, I'm not going to use this airline. 20,000 miles. Hey, I can get a gift for my kid for Christmas. Like they'll have like a Nintendo, or they'll have like golfing stuff, or they'll have, you want to, a mixer, stand mixer, something like silly things, not silly, but like real things. You can use your miles on that. Look, I have like 1.5 million miles with Delta. What am I going to do with that? I can upgrade anytime I want, but I'll still have another million miles left. So, hey baby, how are you? Look through the Sky Miles catalog, see if there's something you want. It's something a little special for you, right? And so you kind of think about these things. Now, other things I think is important to mention, car rentals. Does your car insurance cover your car rentals? You should know, because not every insurance plan covers. Like if you're in the US, you got a 50-50 shot that your car insurance is going to cover your car insurance. You go to Florida, you go to Colorado. It has a 0% chance of covering you if you're going to Nicaragua or London or Ireland, because they will not cover international. That's why if you're going to do a road trip, you're going to go to Canada, you're going to go to Mexico, you need to call your agent like, hey, I need to add on some extra coverage, because those you can get covered. But farther afield, if you're renting a car, you'll need to get the insurance, because believe me, they will find any ding, any scratch, and when you're driving on the other side of the road and the wheel is on the other side of the car, it gets a little curb rubby-ish. Meaning you're gonna remember what they never cover on that insurance. Yeah, we don't cover the wheels. They'll find it. So you want to get the insurance you can get. So when we ever re-rent cars internationally, full coverage, don't care, leave me alone. Also, this isn't a budget thing to make you spend more money, but a sanity thing. Get the car GPS. Why? Your phone, hey, I drive out to Muhammad occasionally, and all of a sudden I have no connection. If you're driving in the middle of Scotland and hills like this, guess what? When you go down here, there's no signal coming. And there's a roundabout. Which way do you go? Which way do you go? Your phone doesn't get the signal. The GPS still has it. And it'll tell you, hey, you're on a roundabout. Take the third one now. Okay, boom. And having that one dedicated in the car works better than your phone. Okay, so be aware of that. All right. Other things I would recommend anytime you rent a car, don't just take pictures of the car. Walk around the car with your camera and video. And you want to look at the panels because it's always the panels where they find stuff. Go around so you have proof of what's there. Now, the old days of scamming rental car people, finding dents and stuff, it's not there as much anymore. But it's good to have that safety net that, hey, I have these pictures. This is what it was like when I got it. It was already there. And one thing you have to realize is more and more rental agencies are using AI. And the AI will literally scan the car and give you an $800 bill because there's a little bump on the ceiling. You're like, what? And people get upset. So it's also a good idea to see, hey, how do they check it? It's not worth it if it's the AI one, because they're going to find something that will find something that will charge you. Like, this car isn't even worth $800, but they're going to get you. So be aware of that, because sometimes the budget part of your trip is the aftermarket pricing of certain things you do. Okay. Now, other things to talk about. Accommodation. Yes. Hotel rewards. Use them. You got your man. Use them. Holiday Inn IQ points. Use it. Nothing wrong with it. Because I'm going to tell you, when you travel around, you're here in the U.S. If we get a double room, how many people can we fit in it? Think about it. You go to the Hampton Inn. 2 big queen-size beds, right? So that's at least like me and my wife and like one of the kids, and then my parents over here, and the other kid can sleep on the floor. Like, we get 6-7 people in a room. Like, you just go to the Hilton Garden Inn. So you can have a family of 10 in some of these rooms, some of these suites. You go to Europe, a double is 2. Like, you get 2 single beds. That's all it fits. You go to South America, double, 2 people is all it fits in. So sometimes it's like, wait a minute, maybe I look at some of those Airbnbs that do have those insane cleaning fees sometimes. But the fact that if I would say, like now, my kids are 14 and 19. We go traveling, we have to get 2 hotel rooms. All of a sudden, instead of being, $90 a night, it's 180, or $100, 200. Oh, maybe that cleaning fee isn't so bad anymore, right? So you got to kind of think about these things. Now, other things I think is important, as I said before, the loyalty isn't really important to the airlines anymore. It's the credit card points. So just because I love Delta, but if it's $1,000 to fly Delta and $250 to fly like Allegiant, let's go Allegiant. Because that's $750. That is what, 6 nights of hotel stays or 5 nights of hotel stays? Yeah, you kind of factor these things in. And that's why this is where we're seeing things change. That's why you could use AI. Go on your chat GPTs or Geminis or Grok or whichever one you want. Be like, hey, I'm looking for a way to save money when I'm going to Orlando. Could you look for these days? And it'll give you flights that'll be cheaper. It'll give you hotel rooms that'll be cheaper. And you could put in, hey, I want a family-friendly place that's within a 10-minute drive of Disney World. And it'll give you options. And it'll give you the pricing. That can help you out. Right? So don't be afraid to use it, because it can be quite helpful. Okay? Now, if you do end up going to those Airbnbs, make sure you always read the reviews, because you can learn a lot. Jocelyn, what does the owners are very attentive mean? It means they're looking in your windows. We have had that before. It sounded good, but like, man, the owners are super attentive. And most very attentive. And we're thinking, oh, they're very attentive to our needs. No, they're looking in the windows. Okay? But also you want to read through about there on the fees they might have. Like, oh, the $300 cleaning fee, but you still have to clean the place beforehand. Right? These kind of things you want to be careful of. And also read to see what they have for you. Because a hotel will always give you shampoo, conditioner, soap. Hear me out. Toilet paper. You get an Airbnb. If it doesn't say toilet paper, soap, shampoo, it will not be there. If it's not listed in their amenities, it will not be there. Because they don't have to, because they don't list it. So that's why whenever we know we're going to be in an Airbnb or a VRBO or apartment rental, in my little toiletry bag, I've got my shampoo, I've got my shampoo, not toilet paper, I got my shampoo and soap and stuff. Jocelyn has her stuff. Liam has his as well. And yes, I will throw a roll of toilet paper in my bag, just in case. Because you don't want to get to your Airbnb at 10 o'clock at night when everything's closed. And yeah, there's no bidets in Florida. Just put it down. All right, so think about that. Another thing when you're looking at hotels is the breakfast. Anytime they charge you for breakfast, just say, no, thank you. Because you go to McDonald's and get a cheaper breakfast. You stay at a Hilton, yes, you get the breakfast, $20 per person. Babe, how many people do we have for? $80. I know McDonald's has gotten expensive, but 4 people can eat up for a lot less than $80 at McDonald's. Or here's the thing, you travel around the world. You go into France, you go to Thailand. Oh my, Panama, amazing bakeries. Oh, you want a croissant? Oh, there's €1. $1. Or $20 to have the same thing in the hotel. Don't pay for the hotel breakfast. You can find other options out there for significantly better prices. Okay. That's why if they do have free breakfast, Liam, Dad, don't oversleep. Don't be like, oh, I don't want to get up. No, get up, go eat it. Like, for example, Liam and I were down in Georgia this weekend, and I went down for breakfast. You know, I'm old, so I wake up and I go and get my food because I'm getting that Hampton Inn Walton with a Hampton Inn like logo on it. Heck yeah. Liam, what did I bring up to you every day? Bagels and the little waffles and stuff. Because I'm like, yo, I'm not going to go spend $20. If it's free, you want to take advantage of it. Especially going to like more expensive places, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, Dubai. If there's something that's going to be free, take advantage of it when you can. That's one thing I really do like. A lot of the longer stay hotels like Staybridges, they'll have like evening drinks. From 5 to 6, we have free cocktails and free snacks. And the snacks sometimes, yeah, just hot dogs or nachos. But you know what? I'm cool with having a couple of hot dogs. Save myself $50 from going out at night. Have my lunch should be my big meal. Then I have that, and we're good to go. Right? So you want to think about those. Now, I'm sorry, I'm like my students checking my time. They've made me like always check clocks now. So my students are like, okay, it's 4 minutes to try to help you find new budget tips. So I'll do my best and get you home in time for when you need to get there. Now, another thing I want to say is with your hotels, your accommodation, the cheapest price isn't always the best value. Cities like Rome, where it is more expensive to stay in the center, but you can find good deals out. Well, there's only basically 2 metro lines. Otherwise, you're taking a 45-hour-long bus ride into town. How much is your time worth? You're saving yourself $50 a night to be an hour and a half away. That's 3 hours back and forth. I think your time might be worth more than that. Because now you have to factor that in. Because, hey, the reason why they're cheaper is because they're farther out, but there's no other way to get into town. Or what if you're late night and you got to take an Uber out there? There goes your $50 savings. You want to factor these things in, especially let's say you're going to do one of those trips where we want to see as much as we can. Like we want to go to Savannah, and then we want to go to Charleston, and then we go to the Outer Banks. All of a sudden, you're wasting all that time transporting back and forth. Your time is worth money. Like that's one of the things you need to realize when you're traveling, time is money. Because think about it, you're using half a day, 3 hours. That's half a day of seeing things, just sitting in a bus. So you want to kind of factor that in because that's why staying in the suburbs may be cheaper, but it's not a better value. Staying with friends. Ah, yes. Does anyone here have a friend? Nobody? Okay, good. I'm glad you have a friend. Wonderful. Okay, now what's the old saying? Friends and fish smell in 3 days. That's right. And so it's cool if your friends are like, hey, you can come stay with us, but just remember, 3 days. Now, you might be like, hey, but I want to stay longer. I think your friendship's worth more than that. What we'll do when we'll go see friends, we're like, hey, we'll gladly stay with you, but I already booked the first 3 nights in this hotel. Oh, cancel. Oh, sorry, I can't cancel. I paid up front. They already have my money. Then there's no debate. Because then we spend 3 nights at our apartment or hotel or whatever, and then we spend 3 nights with our friends. Because, hey, we've gotten our things, and then they have their space, and it works out better. But if you don't value that friendship so much, maybe you can stay with them longer. But that is one of the things you think about. And it's not just friends. It's also family. Okay? Yes. Now, you remember how much you love your brother or sister now, but remember when you used to share a room back when you were a kid? You fought all the time. You don't forget that kind of stuff, all right? So also with your family, that sometimes is better. Also, if you have like the grandkids are coming or your kids are coming, maybe, you know what? we'll get you a hotel. You come over here because, oh, there's a pool at the hotel so the kids can swim. You always got to find that angle, okay, to give people that out, all right? Another really good way to save money is cooking in your apartment. Now, sometimes you're like, but I came here to Savannah. I want to have the Southern cuisine. Yes, but hear me out. Oh my gosh, is that place expensive? So maybe I go to Publix. If you're not sure what Publix is, it's like if Schnucks was in the South, it was really nice, had amazing food and really good stuff. But otherwise, exactly the same. Like people literally go to Publix as a tourist destination because it's so nice. So you go there, you get some sandwiches, and you can cook at home for one night. Hey, I spend $40 getting stuff at Publix. We eat at the hotel, we eat at the apartment versus $200 at the restaurant. That's $160 saved. So tomorrow we're going out good, right? So I have a little bit more. So you want to think about these things. It's got to make a difference. Though I will say, going back to that reading what's available, sometimes that means they don't have salt, they don't have pepper at those apartments, they don't have oil, they don't have cleaning supplies. So, oh, do I want to buy all that? That might add up. That's why I always recommend get to the apartment, get to the house you're renting and see what's there before you go to the grocery store. Because you never know what's there. Sometimes they leave the things that people were there before. Oh, they have the hot sauce. They left the some sodas, and other times there's nothing. Okay, so that can be helpful. Sticking with our food theme, because it's dinner time, and I want to make you all suffer for not having dinner yet. Don't assume anything is free at a restaurant. Here, when they bring out the bread and butter, you're like, more bread, more butter. Ooh, chips and salsa. Yeah, that's one of the reasons next time. Free chips and salsa, free bread, free butter, fantastic. It's not the case everywhere. I lived in Portugal for 5 years, and literally every weekend we would go out and have dinner, and there'd be some tourists that eventually getting very mad at the server because they had to pay for every roll they ate. 50 cents for each pat of butter. Now it says in the menu, it's in the menu, it says that, but are you looking for like pat of butter, 50 cents? Can you translate that from Portuguese? Probably not. So that's one thing. Don't be afraid to ask, is this included? Some places it is, some places not. But I will tell you, when I lived in Lisbon, you can eat really well for like 10 euros back in the day. Unfortunately, if you ate the cheese they gave you and the ham they gave you, that was another 20 euros on top. So your 10 euro meal turned into 30. So make sure, if you're not sure if it's free, don't forget to ask. Same thing with refills. But would you like another Coke? God bless America, free refills. Other places, not really a thing, right? So you might look at that. Another thing is when you look at where you're going to eat. Remember, if you can see a tourist site, there will be a tourist tax on there. Not an official tax, but the tourist, you see the Coliseum, we're going to charge you 20% more for that seat and give you 20% less of tastiness. Because they can. Because you can see the Coliseum. You can see the Eiffel Tower. What I recommend for you, when you see that, you see the Coliseum, walk 2 blocks that way. Because you'll notice once you get farther away and you don't see that Coliseum, you'll start hearing locals. And you go where the locals are eating, the prices are for the locals, not for the tourists. And you're going to have more authentic food at a better price. And sadly, you don't see the Coliseum, but you know what? You can take her for a romantic walk later to help digest the food and see the Coliseum, right? So you want to think about that. Now, in terms of I talked about going to the grocery store. Another cool thing is when you go to the grocery store, you really actually, it's not about saving money. It's about the experience. Seeing what it's like going to the grocery store. Like we all lived in China for a summer. I taught in Beijing. Incredible experience. Truly an experience. Going to the grocery store was amazing. We would see people fight over getting the best dragon fruit. Like we're like, I'm just going to step back because this is getting crazy. Going to Spain. Here, people talk about Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's, the gas station? And they talk about the wall of beef jerky. You want kangaroo jerky, alligator jerky, beef jerky, anything you want. Spain, it is the wall of ham. And we're not talking like cold cuts. We're talking like a leg hanging up there that you buy the whole leg and you take it home and you slice off every piece yourself. I'm like, that is so cool. But you can't bring it home. They're Border Control's going to take that one from you. So just eat all the ham when you're there that you can. All right. So be aware of that. Now, oh yeah, because the fines, you might want to think of the fines you might get that'll impact your budget. Now, Other traditional things that are quite common. Lunches are always cheaper. Just think about around here. You go to for the lunch special, it's always a deal. And most of the time, it's going to be a deal for really good local food that if you have the food at night, it might be 20, 30, sometimes double the price, 20, 30% more or double the price. So that could be one of those things. And if you don't like eating late, like if you're going to Spain, where they have dinner at 9 or 10, or Portugal, you go to Argentina. No, I used to live there, and I would go out to dinner at midnight. And it wasn't just like me and my friends. No, we would be eating at midnight, and then a family would show up at 1 with their kids. I'm not talking 14, 15, I'm talking 5-year-olds coming in, rolling in. Let's get some steak and I'll have pizza. And they're going till 3 in the morning. Yeah. So sometimes, I can do that lunch special and I'll just go to bed. I was tired at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? Other things you might want to look at, kiosks, the little food stands. Now, here when you see the food trucks here, the food trucks are kind of expensive these days. You go to Europe, you go to South America, you go to Asia, the food trucks, the kiosks on the road, the street food, always cheaper and always fantastic. Though, I will say, watch the line. If there's a long line for it, that means it's good. If there's a short line for it, there's a reason why there's a short line for it. Okay? Telling you right now, you will know just by looking. So just have a heads up for that one. Though I will say these places, those like food on the side, food stand stuff, that's usually a cash and carry thing only. So be aware of that. Also, one thing that can help you save money, when you walk in the store, do the look. Look back and forth to see what everyone's eating. Because one, you'll see what looks good, but also you'll see the portion sizes. I was in Carlinville, Illinois last week with my dad, and we stopped at this one restaurant, and they had a pony shoe. For those who don't know, there's a horseshoe, which you have like bread and it has a burger on it. They put fries, they drown it in cheese. Horseshoe is the big version. Pony shoe is the small version. Now, we went there, and we're like, oh, I'm not that hungry. We'll just get pony shoes, thinking it's going to be something small. No. The plate was this big, and the fries were this high. It had roast beef and 2, not 1, but 2 different kinds of mac and cheese on top. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to die, Dad. There's no way, I'm like, I don't even know, what would they bring out the horseshoe, the full size? I'm like, would they put the whole pig on? But the thing was, when we got there, no one had food. So we couldn't judge the size of the servings. Because we all know there's certain restaurants you can go to and be like, we can split because it'll be plenty. Or I know if I go there, I'm going to ask for the doggy bag early so then I can put it in there so it stays warm, so it's not gross when I get home, and then I can have it later, right? And that can help out. So you see oh man, this is big. Maybe I'll get a soup and then we'll share the main. Or all of a sudden right there, you're saving a main. $10, $20, $30. And that's just it. Little things like this can add up over time. Okay. Though I will say, if you go eating with people that don't like to split dishes, I do not recommend this because people get a little bit grabby with their food. Okay. Now, since we're getting near the end, I want to make sure we have some Q&A time. Some general kind of budget things to kind of think about this one that you might see online quite often, but I think they're always important. One, your phone. The phone that we all love our spouses and our partners and our friends, but who's the first person we talk to in the morning? When we wake up and open our eyes, who do we grab first? That special someone next to us or our spouse? We grab our phone. And when you go abroad, it's the same thing. And you may say, why is that? It's a God-given right. Well, I hate to tell you, it's not a God-given right. You're going to have to pay for it when you go abroad. Sometimes they give T-Mobile. A lot of times they have it included in your plan. AT&T, you let them know, and you charge like $10, $15 a day to keep your phone working. But if you don't get it, I will tell you, they will nail you with international roaming. Little Liam back there, who's not so little anymore, when he was 2 years old, we went to China. Liam somehow on my phone figured out how to turn it on, take off airplane mode, get YouTube working in China where it's banned. I'm like, I don't know how he did it. He got it working, and we get a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, huh? What? We just got to China. So it's 12 hours time. So we're totally over our lost. And this AT&T hey, you need to buy this plan because you've already spent $1,000 in data. I'm like, what are you talking? I know I have what? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, look. My 2-year-old turned this on. I'm like, I bought the phone from you. You're gonna fix this, and they did. Now AT&T isn't nice. They're like, too bad, pal. You're paying that $1,000. So before you go online. If you're on AT&T, you literally can go in and say, this is the country I'm gonna go to, and you can buy the pack. or it could already be on your phone, because you do not want that surprise there. Now, the thing is, some people say, oh, I'll just use the Wi-Fi. Where are you going to find Wi-Fi at 10 o'clock at night in the Netherlands to get your Uber to take you back to the hotel? You're not. I had this happen to my students who went to Spain. The students did not get their data plans, and they're trying to figure out how to get home, back to the hotel. Yeah, it wasn't fun. Not fun at all. That's why I always have my Ubers, I have my students link up with me so I can send them an Uber to get them someplace. And also make it a requirement, you have to have an international data plan when you're going abroad, because I don't want you stuck someplace you don't want to be. And then you can't call anybody. I mean, 911 works in the US, it's 112 and other numbers other places, and you don't know. So you got to be careful with that, okay? Another thing, travel insurance. If you are with Medicaid, guess I'm sad to say it does not work abroad. So you have to get extra health insurance. So like when you buy your ticket, they'll offer to sell it to you. Like, oh, $50,000 emergency medical care. Great. That might not sound a lot for the US, but anywhere else you go in the world, that will cover literally like a heart transplant. So you'll be okay. But get those. And the things you have to realize, there's different kinds of travel insurance. Okay. So you have trip insurance. This is, oh, my bags are lost. My flight got canceled. It got delayed. I want my money back for the hotel rooms I couldn't get. A lot of times your credit card will have that already. You gotta check your credit card, but a lot of them already have that. Then you have that travel health insurance. If I get sick, and believe me, I've had students, one student found out she was allergic to something. 3 o'clock in the morning, we're at the 124-hour pharmacy in Vicenza, Italy, and they have like a tube like this that we're talking through, trying to explain her stuff. We got everything worked out okay, but it's one of those things you never know. You don't know what you're allergic to until you take a bite, right? So you gotta be careful. But then there's kidnap and ransom insurance. Now, if you're going to like dangerous places, that's another one you can look into. This was a little bit harder to get because not everybody sells it and no one wants to talk about it. Because if you talk about it, you no longer can be covered because then people might know you have it and then they'll kidnap you to get the money. It sounds crazy, but something to think about. But another thing I think is important when you're looking at budget travel is really having a budget. Kind of figure, hey, what can we spend every day? Because sometimes that means, hey, do we have to take some of our accommodation money and we don't stay at the nicer hotel? We stay at a smaller hotel, or we a different kind of thing? Or maybe, hey, we can't go out every meal. We're going to go out just for lunch, or we'll do one fancy dinner. So like when I take my students abroad, I say, look, you're going to get 2 good meals because we have the welcome meal. So you're going to get, we'll go like 10 days to Italy. So you're going to get a real Italian meal that first night. So I know you have that. And you're going to get a real Italian meal that last night. So I know you at least had pasta and the steaks and all the stuff that you need to have in Italy. I know you'll have that. Stuff in the middle, you need to budget for. And I always tell them, like, look, budget yourself. If you want to go cheap, $10 for lunch, $20 for dinner. In Italy, you'll be fine. Right? If you want to drink, factor out another 20 euros. Oh, you want to go, your gelatos at $3. You're like, you know what? I want to go on a gelato diet for 10 days. Great. Then you have gelato 5 times a day. So, hey, 15 euros, you'll be fine. $15. I don't think your waistline will be good, but you'll be happy. So you have that. Okay. Another thing is important is researching your destination, because some place will have, Mondays are free for people, or the first Sunday of the month is free for anybody. So you can save money that way. Because some, how many of you ever go to Chicago and you go to the museums up there and they're like $25-30 a pop? But if you go on Thursday nights, they'll have like half price night. Well, when it's 30, that's $15. And there's 4 of you. Oh shoot, we just saved $60. That's breakfast at McDonald's the next day, taken care of. Maybe I get myself a second bacon, egg, and cheese even now. So be aware of that. But if you do your research, you can find ways to save money. Also, based on where you want to go. 1 week in Switzerland is 2 weeks in Spain. 1 week in Europe, 2 weeks in South America, 3 weeks in Southeast Asia. So you kind of base these things around, like, hey, what do we want to spend? How do you want to do that? And the thing is, sometimes there's passes you can get for the city passes. I will tell you, not every city pass is worth it. If I'm going to Chicago and there's the Chicago pass and all I'm going to do is go to, the Museum of Science and Industry, it's not worth it. But if I'm going to go to the Museum of Science and Industry, the Shedd Aquarium, the Art Institute of Chicago, I'm going to go to the other museums, okay, that pays off. That's one of those things you have to do the research. Like, okay, I am going to save money because sometimes these passes don't have the most important things. Maybe the Eiffel Tower isn't included. Maybe the Sagrada Familia in Spain isn't included. Maybe going to the Taj Mahal isn't included in that pass. So you want to be careful. And train passes as well. The Eurorail pass, well, if you're going to be in France, you still have to have a seat reservation. You can't just hop on. So how do you get that? You still have to pay for that. So you have to factor in that's not very expensive, but things you got to kind of think about. Okay. Other things you want to look at when you travel. Now, low season is low season for a reason. The weather's horrible and you don't want to be there. Probably don't want to go then. What you want to look into is like shoulder season. So like Europe, we're talking late April, May, early June, because in Europe, the kids don't go to school till July. So we're not fighting. The only family travelers we're fighting are the people that are coming from the US or Canada. Their kids are already out of school. Other one, hey, after September 1st, every kid in Europe is back in school. So their season is done. But you know what? What's it like here in September? 104. So when you travel around, you'll still have like that shoulder season. The price will go down, but you'll still have decent weather. Going to Greece, Alaska. Alaska's great in September because it's still open. None of the families are going, so you can get some deals, right? So you can look at that. So when you go, can be pretty good. And then one thing I want to tell you comes to your souvenirs. Your friends love you, right? And you love your friends, right? Do you think they won't love you if you don't get them that 5 or 10 euro Eiffel Tower keychain? They're going to keep it for like 3 days, then throw it away. Save yourself the money. If you want to get them something, be super crazy and old fashioned. Go get a postcard, send them a postcard. Because like, look, here's Paris, and I was thinking of you in Paris. Now, don't you feel better? I was thinking of you. I sent it to you. It came in. Oh, your friends. Those kind of things you can do, right? And for your own things, maybe instead of buying a ton of little souvenirs, you get one nice thing. So think about it, if I get 10 little souvenirs, it's 150 euros or $150. I can get like one nice painting for 50. Wow, I got one nice thing that I'm going to put on my wall. Or maybe you get an outfit. Now this is my France outfit. I got this in France. And then people are saying, wow, you look fantastic. Yeah, I got this in Paris. Right? Yeah, it's not pretentious. It's just, fashionable. All right, so you want to kind of think about that, okay? Other things, just be careful with overspending your accommodation budget because you're going on vacation. If you're going to Turks and Caicos, yes, because you're going to be sleeping because you're just going to the sun and back to the hotel, that's fine. But if you're going to a destination where you're always out and about doing things, do you really need all the extra accoutrement? Do you need the hot tub if you're not going to use it? Probably not. So that's one thing you kind of want to think about, okay? And then I'm just reinforcing that data plan because that $1,000 bill was kind of scary. So thank you for this. And now we're going to open up for questions. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, my friend.
Maybe if you book your flight already, and did you say to check on it like before your flight to see if you could still get it cheaper?
Yes. So what'll happen, like we buy our tickets way in advance, just so I can have the guaranteed seats and we can be together. But let's say I bought it for 1,200 and then I start noticing, wow, the prices have come down. Not every airline, but like the major carriers, since they still have you can cancel, but we only give you e-credit. You can use that and then you can buy it for $800. And then you have $400 in credit that you have to buy a Delta airline ticket or American airline ticket. American did do it, United did do it, Delta did do that. Not everybody does. So, but it's very easy to see because what they'll see when you buy your ticket, it'll have a little thing. It'll give you, if you do this, we'll give you your e-credit back. Or if you get a fully refundable ticket, which will probably cost you $100 to $200 more, you get your cash back. So since I know I'm going to fly again, I just check. Oh, no, more than because by then the price is going to be higher. We're talking if you bought, let's say you bought it like 6 months out to guarantee you have your spot. You're checking a few months out, like 3 months out, like, oh man, these prices are cheaper. What I would do is I would call them up, be like, hey, I'm seeing this at cheaper. Can you cancel this and put me on the flight this way? And I'll take the e-credit, that's fine. We've done that with Delta, we've done that with United, and they've both been like, okay. But that is something that only happened after COVID. Because it used to be if you did that, they charge you $75, $150. So something to think about. So, yes.
We're talking about doing multi-city tickets. How do you do that? I mean, is that something I can make myself?
Yes. So the question is, what's this multi-city ticket and how do you book it? So what you'll do is you can go on to Delta, American, United, and where it says like round trip, one way, there'll be a third one. It might say multi-city or something that makes it look like it's like multiple destinations. And when it comes up, Whereas if you're going to do a one-way, you just do it on the main page. Like, oh, CMI Champagne to ORD O'Hare, and you have that there in one date. But if you have a return, it's still the same two. Then you pick the 2 dates. But this one, it'll take you to another page. Okay, so it's going to open up another page, and it'll give you one line, and you'll say, okay, CMI to ORD, so Champagne to O'Hare. But then you want to come back from Milwaukee, so you put Milwaukee's thing in the bottom, and then Champagne, you want to fly back to Champagne, and then it'll give you the options for that. So, but you and you can just type in Milwaukee or Champagne or whatever, see those things. And that's what you can do all on your own. And if you go to Kayak or Skyscanner, they'll have that option as well. They just make it look weird because when you go there, it takes you a different like page versus your normal, like just put in the 2 cities, then it's multiple lines, and make sure you're checking the dates. Because you know, when you do your original thing, you click 2 dates for a round trip and it just gives you that. This one, you click that exact date for when you want to go out, and then you have to go to the next line and click the exact date you want to come back. Otherwise, you might have some trouble. So,
Got it.
other questions? Yes.
Can you repeat about where to get your local currency?
So where to get the local currency? So what I recommend is use your local debit card from whatever bank you have. We won't name names of banks.
A debit card.
Yeah, no, that's what, no, you only take cash out with debit because credit cards will give you a huge fee. They're going to charge you to take it out. So you have your debit card with your PIN number. Gotta have you have your PIN number with your debit card. You're going to go to a bank when you go abroad. You go, and most of the time they'll have an ATM at the bank. There'll be ATMs all over, and you'll use your local, your Busey bank card, put that into the machine, and then you'll take out the cash there. But do not take the conversion. They'll tell you, oh, you want to take out 200 euros? We'll give you 200 euros and we'll charge you $250. The actual exchange rate's more like $220. So you say no conversion, just take the 200 euros because then your bank back home will be the one that converts it, and your home bank's going to be nicer to you than some random bank. Does that help?
Yes, I have another question.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you take these guided tours, like
Yeah.
Road Scholar,
Yep.
Colorado, or whatever.
Yeah, the U of I does them. Yeah.
Yes, sometimes they ask you if you want to book your own flight.
Yeah.
Is it better, cheaper to book your own flight, or should you let them?
Okay,
Because
so
then they don't pick you up or to give you transportation back.
and also here's the thing: if you book it with them, then if something happens, they still have to get you on that tour. Whereas if you book on your own, that's on you. Now I will say when we book tickets for our group tours with our students, like their tickets are significantly higher. Like instead of being a $800 ticket, sometimes it's like 1,000 or 1,200 a euro.
Yeah.
But I know I have all 22 students together. And if there's any delays, it's not like, oh, these 10 students get to go and these 10 students have to stay. No, we're all together. They keep us all together.
So it might be the extra.
If you're worried, it's worth it. But if you're like, but what I always say with those tours, it's always a good idea to get there. Like if you're going to do like one of the Ireland, because that's a big one we do for here for the U of I say get in a day or two early, because then you fly on your own, you get a cheaper ticket, but also you get to adjust to the time zone. So when the tour begins, you're ready to rock and roll. And you're not like, oh my goodness, jet lag. So that could be helpful. So, cool, no problem. Other yes, my friend over here. Yeah. Yes. Mhm.
Everything was in her backpack. They went to Dublin. They took everything, her cash, her credit cards, her passport, everything.
Yep. That can happen.
So she said, I'll never put that stuff in a backpack.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Can I see my back? I mean, I know sometimes it's like your parents had eyes in the back of their heads. I'm a parent. My eyes never grew in the back of my head. So that's one thing. If you're going to be in public transportation, put that stuff in front of you. Okay. Also, like when we go around in town, we leave our passports and like one of our credit cards, we'll leave it in the safe in the hotel. So I'm like, if I get robbed, I still have that. I'm not worried about my passport because you don't understand how good these pickpockets are. And it's not just one. I'm going to guarantee that there were multiple people that got here and they're like, hey, someone said that lady there, she's got a backpack, easy zip. I mean, I've literally been on an escalator, stock full of people, next to people. Dude is unzipping the backpack of someone, reaching in to take out the wallet. And I go, excuse me. He puts it back in, zips it, jumped off the escalator and ran. So that's one of those things. And here's the thing. You will be a target if you're old or if you're Asian or if you have small children. Why?
You're distracted.
With the kids, you're distracted and you're going to take care. Are you going to run after that person that takes your suitcase or are you going to stay with little Johnny? Stay with little Johnny. When you're old, one, you probably don't speak the language of that country. and you're not going to run after them, and they can push you over. And then the other one, well, let's see, there's old. And then the Asian one is because a lot of the Asian tourists, they bring lots of cash. And they usually don't speak Italian or Spanish or whatever. So I can rob them. By the time it gets figured out they were robbed, we're already gone. And what happens is I rob you, and then I run, and I give it to her, and they get me. I don't have anything. You're already. Now you're shopping. And here's the thing, if someone gets your wallet, like once you notice it's gone, backtrack. Because they don't want your credit cards, they want the cash that's in there. And so we've actually had our students get pickpocketed. I'm like, don't leave your wallet in your back pocket. Don't. They do it every time. Yeah. And they'll go back. A couple of times we've gone back, and there it is in the garbage can. Because they get caught with the wallet, you stole it. But if it's cash, everybody has cash. So that's one of those things. Sometimes it's good to go back, giving a passport back instead of having to go get another one when you're there. Woo. Any other questions? Concerns? Comments? Last one. All right, I'm here.
Okay, so are you better off booking in a ticket if your goal is to do business class, flight?
Yeah.
And try to get an upgrade, or are you better off just pulling the trigger on the first batch right away if you're 6 to 8 months out?
If you're 6 to 8 months out, well, you're not going to get upgraded unless you have status that's going to give you the first set of upgrades. But a lot of those airlines now limit how far you can get upgraded. Like Delta, I have diamond sets. Like I can only get upgraded to the one that's one above economy. I cannot get to the business. I cannot get to the Delta One. I can only get this far. So I never can get the extra thing. Some airlines will let you do that. That's why what you're going to notice, and a lot of airlines, because they try to upsell a little bit. When you're a few days out, go and see if there's anything available. And if you have their apps, they might be like, oh, would you like to pay $200 to upgrade to that lie flat seat? And so they'll try to entice you to buy that. And what's cool is you can go, you know what? I want to make sure I get rest from flying to Ireland. Like I want to rest when I go. I don't care when I come back, because I come back home, who cares? But go in there, I don't want to feel like, and so you can literally call them like, I only want to upgrade that one segment, and that'll be cheaper than upgrade the whole segment. So it could be like worth it. Hey, can I just upgrade that so you can use your miles or something like that? So that could be a better one. Does that help? Oh, no problem. Well, I thank you all for coming and enjoying the fantastic stuff we have here at the Champaign Public Library. There's a lot of other events they have, so do watch the boards, do look online, follow them on Facebook for all the great, whether it's budget travel or budgeting for your future. They have all kinds of great programming here. And always, always support your local public libraries. Even if not Champaign, you can support the other ones where you live too. So thank you very much. Have a good night.